to make my pizza oven, I used this exercise ball. I even built a solid footing that went down 4 feet. So I'm building the base. This is the foundation that my pizza oven is going to be built upon. Not thick enough here.
Progress is slow, but I'm really happy with how things are turning out.
Look what I'm working on. Put the first brick in many months. I'm gonna finish all that side as well. It is time for an update. Finally started doing more work. So these 2 bricks are new, and then those ones over there are new. Now this one, I'm happy with what I did. I made a template right here, and I sized it to the top because the bottom is more narrow. Over there, I sized it to the bottom, and I had to put in a big wedge right in between these 2 bricks there. So for this one, I sized it according to the top, made my little template here, and then I was able to then cut this side at an angle on the brick. So then I fit it down in there and it fits a lot better. Now I had the form in here. I built this part of the wall and this part of the wall and decided to pull the form out so that I could really clean it up. And then I'm gonna slide the form back in as I continue to build the arch, and I'm gonna leave a hole in the top for the chimney. All right, this morning I decided to attempt the next layer with a different size brick. So I cut these angles at 10 degrees each. First, I used those little sticks down there to hold them up, but I found that they really didn't need it. The measuring one I would use to hold up, and by the time I moved on to the next brick, it didn't move. Alright, I'm going to climb up here and show you the challenge that I'm currently working on. So I just cut a piece that I can fit in here, so I'm going to fill that in. But the challenge I have is I've got this angled slope of the dome, and I don't have a way to connect it. I didn't make this angled, so I can't position bricks here. So I cut out a jigsaw puzzle piece. This was pretty tricky with my chop saw, but the goal is if I can put that there, then as the heat comes in and circles around the top and wants to go out, it's not hitting a flat edge, it will continue to go down. And so I'm going to cut several of these pieces and place them like that to kind of make that slant there. And I might even have to build this out further, but at least it'll give me something to rest upon as I build the dome that way. So let's see how it works. Okay, so this is what we've got. Pretty tricky, pretty dangerous. All right, so this is the work that I did today. I pieced in a couple triangle wedges there and built those 4 pieces. You see the 2 on the outsides, I actually trimmed down so I could angle them in a bit, and hopefully this will work out the way that I hope it does. But as you can see, this layer, I made full bricks go horizontal, and the weight of them wanted to slide inward. It was actually a little bit more difficult, and I knew that it was going to be more and more difficult as we got steeper, so I decided to go vertical this way with half bricks. And they're all the keystone shape so that I can continue to increase the angle and not have to do wedges on this part, but I do have to do wedges in between. Some of them are significant in size. All right, today I pushed really hard and I got 21 half bricks all the way around put in. It took me about 5 hours to do that. But I'm going to work some more on the arch, and so I've had to cut 3.5 bricks wide, and obviously there's going to be space for mortar in between here. But I cut a 15-degree angle on both those sides. Because I went straight up and down, I think I need a little bit more steeper angle, but I'll use less of an angle for this part of the arch, I think. Alright, I'm going to leave this opening for the chimney. I'll probably straighten it, but just going to brick off this right here. And I want to cut these pieces. They're going to go like that. And I want it to touch this brick. That's why I put this thin one in the middle, so that it will at least support that part of the arch. So, hope it works. Okay, so the mortar's still wet, but these were such a tight fit that I felt pretty good about pulling out the form. So I've been just cleaning it up, and I scraped off a lot of the excess, and now I'm just going in and filling in the gaps, and I'm going to clean it so that it looks really nice, because this part's going to be visible. All right, working on this next layer up. It's a little bit more challenging. I can't do 2 bricks at a time because they want to fall inwards. I'm having to use these sticks to hold them up in place, but by the time I get to the next one, I can put a stick in place and then move the white one to hold it. And now I'm starting to clean off the insides here, and I can remove the bricks and they don't fall in. Crazy that I can pull these sticks out because I just put that brick in, obviously right before this one, so I don't know, 15 minutes ago. All right, let me show you what I'm working on now. I've got this piece of this high density or insulating foam that I've cut, and I've trimmed it down several times to try and shape it the way that I want. As I've been going around in a circle, I've made the dome so big that continuing to do circles like this as the angle gets steeper and steeper, I just dread the thought of doing that. Now that I'm experienced, I'm really good at this, and that part I dread. So I'm wanting to just build an arch. Building these arches over here was fun. It was a lot easier. So I'm just trying to figure it out. I've got this piece wedged in here right now, just kind of pushed up against the bricks on both sides. And I'm considering making pieces to go across here on both sides and kind of just working from there, and let's see what I do. Okay, so I've been doing research. The height of the exit versus the height of the dome, this height should be about 60% of the height of the dome. And as I checked, the measurement to right here is 16 inches. And to the top of that foam arch is 26 inches, which when you do the math, that comes out pretty close to 60%. So before I took the measurements and learned that, I was thinking, yeah, there's probably some flexibility. Who knows what science is behind that math? And then I measure it and I'm like really close to 60%. I'm like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Okay, this is what I was able to figure out. Kind of puzzle piece those pieces in there and kept adjusting them to the right height. And then down below you can see I would just wedge things to secure it in place. And then I also added a screw on each side just to make sure that the top parts didn't move. They were pretty firm in place, but no, I screwed them. So this brick is going right there. Took some very skilled use of my miter saw to cut this out. Very skilled use is a joke, by the way. So I built up 2 bricks on each side so far, just so they could solidify before I started putting pressure anywhere on top. I just didn't want these to move, so I'm gonna let them dry and we will come back tomorrow. Today I'm finishing the 2 pieces left in this top arch. Making some YouTube content.
Videos. Top of my age.
Okay, so this is where we got to in a half day. And what I'm gonna do now is I've been putting together this form because we're gonna do a 2.5 to almost 3 inch concrete slab that will go below the fire brick in the fireplace box. Now I'll show you what our plan is here. So now we've got a channel that goes the whole way across, and then we've got a block that we've pre-cut. When I say pre-cut, we've got this channel going through, so going all the way from here, the entire height. We're going to put rebar and concrete. We're going to put rebar and concrete all along and fill up this entire channel and go down the other side. So this is where the hearth seat is going to be, fireplace in there, and so we'll have a concrete and rebar arch going all the way across here and down. Okay, just bent some rebar and I'm just dry fitting stuff to prepare for when the mason comes back. And that one will sit a little bit higher like that. Cool. Okay, want an update? I put those in a couple weeks ago, so that's actually not the latest and greatest, but I did put some more supports down there. A guy that's helping me suggested I do that, so I did. But check this out. What do you think of this? So that is going to be the fireplace. The board down there is a form. We're going to put 2.5 inches of concrete on top of that, and then on top of the concrete will be more fire brick, and on top of this part will be these stones, fancy stones that will be like a seat in front of that. But you can see how big the opening to the fireplace will be. Okay, to give you an update, you can see I've been working on the top. So what I just did in the last couple hours is those two pieces, those two there, those two, another awkward piece over there. And now I'm gonna fill this in right here. Let me show you. I've cut this piece at an angle so it'll sit there, and I did cut that angle down there more. I could have done it less, I guess, but then this one's gonna go and fit in right there. I'll probably turn it around the other way like that, and with mortar on there that should fit pretty snug. Okay, I'm very excited to show you something. Take a look here. And you see that triangle right there? That is the last remaining hole to fill. I've gone in and filled all the triangles. You can see the mud still wet right there. Now, take a look at this. Pretty pleased with this master brickwork. Look at that, and then I'll fill in a little piece right there. And then the entire dome is complete on the outside.